The great hall of the Galactic Council stretched for miles in every direction. 12 different alien species sat in their designated areas, each group looking very different from the others. The air smelled strange, filled with the breathing, gases that each species needed to survive. Admiral Vextar stood tall on his platform. His green scales caught the light as he moved. The Kethmori were a proud race of reptilian beings who had ruled space for over 2,000 years. They did not like change, and they especially did not like the new species that had appeared recently. Fellow council members, Vextar began, his voice echoing through the hall. We face a problem unlike any in our history. The humans have been in space for only 300 cycles, yet they now control 17 star systems. Murmurs spread through the chamber. The insect-like Velnari clicked their mandibles in agreement. The massive Bruthan warriors growled low in their throats. Even the peaceful Aernathi, who looked like floating clouds of light, pulsed with concerned energy. High Counselor Thys of the Velnari stepped forward. Her compound eyes reflected the chamber lights as she spoke. The humans expand faster than any species we have seen. What took us thousands of years, they do in mere hundreds. This is not natural. General Mordax slammed his massive fist on his platform. The Bruthan were known for their strength and direct approach to problems. They take systems without asking permission. They build colonies without following proper procedures. They ignore our laws. Ambassador Silthyra drifted closer to the center of the hall. The Aernathi spoke in musical tones that translated into words the others could understand. Perhaps we should try to understand them better before taking action. War should be the last choice, not the first. Vextar's eyes narrowed. Understanding? We have tried understanding. We sent messages. We offered trade agreements. We invited them to join our council as junior members. They ignored us. Not ignored, said Counselor Zethkar of the crystalline Vortani. His body chimed like bells as he moved. They responded. They said they would consider our offers when they were ready. They said they had other priorities first. Other priorities. Mordak roared. What priorities are more important than following galactic law? What priorities matter more than showing respect to civilizations that ruled space before their planet even had life? The chamber fell silent. This was the heart of the problem. Every species in the galaxy had followed the same pattern when they reached space. First, they explored their local area slowly and carefully. Then, they made contact with other species and learned their place in the galactic order. Finally, they joined the council and followed the rules that had kept peace for millennia. But humans were different. They had burst into space like a wildfire, exploring and colonizing at speeds that seemed impossible. They had advanced technology that worked in ways the Council did not understand. Most troubling of all, they acted like they did not need anyone's permission to do anything. Thys spoke again. Our intelligence reports show they now have over 12,000 ships. Their technology improves every cycle. If we wait much longer, they may become too powerful to stop. Then we act now, Vextar declared. We give them a choice. They can submit to council authority and follow our laws, or they can face the consequences. What consequences? Asked Ambassador Silthyra. Vextar smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. We show them what happens when a species refuses to respect galactic order. We gather our fleets, all of them. Over the next few hours, each species committed ships to the coalition. The Kethmori would provide 200 vessels, including their massive dreadnoughts. The Velnari contributed 150 ships, each filled with warrior drones. The Bruthen offered 100 warships, built for close combat and boarding actions. Even the peaceful species added their forces. The Aernathi provided 50 ships with advanced shields and sensors. The Vortani brought 75 vessels with powerful energy weapons. Smaller species contributed what they could. When the counting finished, the coalition fleet numbered 847 ships. It was the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. No single species had ever faced such overwhelming power. "This should be enough to convince them," Mordak said with satisfaction. "No species can stand against such a fleet." Vextar nodded. "We will send them our message. They will have 30 solar rotations to bring their fleet to the Kepler 442 system. There we will discuss their future in this galaxy." "And if they refuse to come?" asked Thais. "Then we go to them," Vextar replied coldly, "and we teach them what happens to species that think they are above galactic law." The message was prepared, carefully. It explained the Council's concerns about human expansion. It listed the laws that humans had broken by colonizing without permission. It demanded that humans send their fleet to Kepler 442 for negotiations. Most importantly, it made clear that this was not a request. It was an ultimatum. As the message was transmitted toward human space, the Council members felt confident. They expected humans to arrive with hundreds of ships, as was traditional for such important meetings. Military strength during diplomacy showed a civilization's power and resolve. "How many ships do you think they will bring?" asked Counselor. Zethkar, Thais calculated quickly. "They have 17 systems to defend. They cannot leave them unprotected. Perhaps 300 ships at most." "Still a formidable force," admitted Mordak, "but not enough to match ours." Vexatar was already planning the demonstration. He would position the coalition fleet in a perfect formation, showing off their overwhelming numbers. When the humans arrived and saw what they faced, they would have no choice but to surrender. "This will end their expansion once and for all," he said with satisfaction. "They will learn their place in the galactic order just like every other species has learned." Ambassador Silthyra pulsed with uncertain light. "I hope this does not lead to unnecessary destruction. The humans may be proud, but they are not stupid. Surely they will see reason when faced with such odds." "They will see reason," Vextar agreed. "Or they will see the inside of prison ships as we escort them back to their home system." As the Great Hall began to empty, each species returning to prepare their fleets, none of them considered that the humans might have a different idea about how to handle ultimatums. They could not imagine that a species might choose to send just one ship to face 847. After all, such a decision would be either supreme arrogance or complete insanity. The Council members would soon learn that humans had their own way of looking at impossible situations. Captain Kim Tae-ho stood at attention in the United Earth Command Center, surrounded by the most powerful military leaders on the planet. The message from the Galactic Council played on the main screen for the third time. 847 ships. An ultimatum. 30 days to respond. Fleet Admiral Sarah Chen paced behind her desk, her expression thoughtful. "Well, Captain, you've heard their demands. What do you think?" Kim studied the alien message carefully. "They expect us to be afraid, Admiral. They think numbers alone will force us to surrender." "And will they?" asked General Martinez, the head of Earth's ground forces. Kim shook his head. "No, sir. They're thinking like every other species they've encountered. They don't understand how humans solve problems." Dr. Park So-min looked up from her datapad. As Earth's leading expert on alien psychology, she had spent years studying the species that made up the Galactic Council. The patterns are clear in their communication style. They view diplomatic strength as directly related to military size. Bigger fleets mean more respect. That's their mistake, said Commander Hyun-woo from his position near the tactical display. They're trying to play a game where the winner is whoever brings the most pieces to the board. And we're going to change the rules, Admiral Chen announced. Captain Kim, you'll be taking the UES Defiance alone to meet this coalition fleet. The A room fell silent. Several officers exchanged glances. Engineer Lee Dong-woo, who had been reviewing technical specifications, looked up in surprise. Admiral, said Colonel Park, with respect, even our most advanced ship can't face 800 enemy vessels alone. Admiral Chen smiled. Colonel, you're thinking conventionally. Tell me, Engineer Lee, what makes the Defiance special? Lee, Dong-woo straightened. The Defiance represents our most advanced technology, Admiral. Modular construction, quantum-linked systems, self-replicating manufacturing capabilities, and adaptive AI networks. It's not just a ship, it's a complete mobile fleet base. Dr. Park So-min added her analysis. More importantly, the aliens have never encountered human tactical thinking. They expect conventional warfare. They're prepared for ships that fight, like their ships fight. But the Defiance doesn't fight like their ships, Kim said, understanding dawning in his voice. Exactly, Admiral Chen confirmed. The aliens are expecting us to follow their rules. Show up with lots of ships, engage in traditional space combat, win or lose based on numbers and firepower. Instead, we're going to show them what human engineering can really do, Lee Dong-woo said with growing excitement. Commander Yoon voiced the concern everyone felt. Sir, even with our technological advantages, we're talking about facing nearly 1,000 enemy vessels with just one ship. If something goes wrong, Captain Kim considered this seriously. The Defiance was indeed humanity's most advanced vessel, but the odds were still overwhelming by any traditional measure. Admiral Chen pulled up detailed intelligence reports on the alien coalition. Captain, we've been monitoring their communications since they formed this fleet. They're confident, maybe overconfident. They've never lost a space battle. They've never even been seriously challenged. That's because they've never fought humans, Dr. Park So-min observed. Every species they've encountered followed predictable patterns. Explore slowly, make contact carefully, join the galactic, community on their terms. But we didn't follow their pattern, Kim said. No, we didn't. We explored aggressively, colonized efficiently, and ignored their attempts to control us. They don't know how to handle that. General Martinez leaned forward. What's the real objective here, Admiral? Are we trying to win a battle or make a point? Both, Admiral Chen replied. The aliens need to understand that humans don't fit into their traditional categories. We're not going to be another junior member of their council following rules. We had no part in making. Engineer Lee Dong-woo was already running calculations on his tablet. The Defiance can handle whatever they throw at us defensively. Our shield technology is centuries ahead of their weapons. But if we're really going alone, we need to be ready for anything. What about backup? Asked Commander Yoon. If the situation goes badly, how quickly can we get reinforcements to Kepler 442? Admiral Chen shook her head. No backup. If we send reinforcements, it defeats the purpose. We need to show them that one human ship is enough. Dr. Park So-min pulled up psychological profiles of the alien leaders. Admiral Vextar of the Kethmori is proud and traditional. He expects respect and submission. General Mordak of the Bruthen values strength above all else. High Counselor Thys of the Velnari thinks logically, but within very narrow parameters. And Ambassador Silthyra of the Air Nathi? Kim asked. The most reasonable of the group. She might actually listen to what we have to say, instead of just reacting to what we do. Captain Kim studied the alien fleet composition data. 847 ships, 12 different species, each with their own tactical doctrines and technologies. They probably haven't practiced coordinated maneuvers together. That's an advantage we can use, agreed Commander Yoon. Different command structures, different communication protocols, different response times. But still 800 ships against one, Colonel Park reminded them. Admiral Chen walked to the main display, which showed the Defiance in its current configuration. Tell me, what do you see when you look at this ship? I see the most advanced vessel humanity has ever built, said Li Dongwu. I see a flying research station with the best sensors in known space, added Dr. Park So-min. I see a ship that can outmaneuver anything in the alien fleet, said Commander Yoon. Captain Kim studied the display more carefully. I see a ship that doesn't have to fight like a ship. Exactly, Admiral Chen confirmed. The aliens are preparing for a traditional space battle. They're expecting us to line up our ships against their ships and see who has better weapons. But we're not going to do that, Kim said with growing understanding. No, we're not. We're going to show them what happens when human creativity meets alien expectations. Engineer Li Dongwu was already making lists of modifications and preparations. I'll need to run full diagnostics on all systems. If we're really doing this, with just one ship, everything has to work perfectly. How long do you need? Admiral Chen asked. 2 weeks for complete system optimization. The Defiance is already operational, but I want to make sure every component is running at peak efficiency. Dr. Park So-min looked up from her analysis. I recommend we spend time studying their fleet composition in detail. If we know exactly what each ship type can do, we can plan our approach more effectively. Agreed, said Captain Kim. Commander Yoon, I want you to run tactical simulations based on their likely formations and response patterns. Already on it, sir. Admiral Chen nodded with satisfaction. Gentlemen, lady, in 2 weeks, Captain Kim will take the Defiance to meet the largest alien fleet ever assembled. He'll be alone, outnumbered, and facing technology that's been perfected over thousands of years. She paused, looking at each of them in turn. I have complete confidence that he'll come back victorious, and that the galaxy will never be the same again. Captain Kim straightened. Admiral, permission to speak freely? Granted. Kim smiled. Sometimes the right tool for the job isn't the biggest hammer, it's the smartest one. That, Captain, is exactly why you're the right person for this mission. The space around Kepler 442 had never seen so many ships in one place. 847 vessels from 12 different civilizations hung in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming in the light of the distant star. The Coalition fleet was a sight that would have impressed any species in the galaxy. Admiral Vextar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the massive dreadnought Sovereign's Will. Through the viewing ports, he could see the impressive display of military might spread out in all directions. Kethmori ships formed the center of the formation, their green hulls marked with ancient battle honors. Velnari vessels clustered together like a swarm of metallic insects, their weapon ports gleaming. Bruthen warships looked like floating fortresses built for close combat and intimidation. Status report, Vextar commanded. All ships are in. Position, Admiral, his tactical officer replied. Sensors are scanning for human vessels. Long-range detection shows nothing yet. They still have 6 rotations before the deadline, observed his first officer. Perhaps they are taking time to organize their fleet. Vextar nodded. Good. Let them see what they face when they arrive. The sight of our combined forces should convince them that resistance is futile. On the bridge of the Velnari command, Ship Hive Mind, High Counselor Theiss reviewed the tactical displays with her staff. Her compound eyes could process multiple data streams simultaneously, giving her a complete picture of the Coalition's readiness. All drone ships are linked and ready, reported her tactical coordinator. If the humans choose to fight, we can deploy 15,000 combat drones within minutes. The humans will not fight, Theiss stated with confidence. They may be aggressive, but they are not stupid. No species fights odds like these. General Mordak paced the bridge of his flagship, Iron Fist, his massive frame making the deck plates vibrate with each step. The Bruthen were natural warriors, and the waiting made him restless. When do we expect the human fleet to arrive? He growled at his subordinates. Our intelligence suggests they have over 12,000 ships, his tactical officer replied. But they cannot bring them all. They must leave forces to defend their colonies. Perhaps they will bring 300 to 400 vessels. Still not enough, Mordak said with satisfaction. We will crush them quickly and teach them proper respect. Ambassador Silthyra drifted through the command center of her vessel. Peaceful. Dawn. The Aeronathi ship looked more like a work of art than a warship, its crystalline surfaces refracting light in beautiful patterns. Despite its appearance, it carried some of the most advanced weapons in the fleet. I still hope this can be resolved without violence, she transmitted to her staff through their telepathic link. The humans may be willing to negotiate once they see our strength. And if they are not, asked her tactical coordinator, then we must be prepared to defend galactic law and order. 3 days passed. The Coalition fleet maintained its formation, sensors constantly scanning for approaching human vessels. The waiting was beginning to affect some of the crews, but the commanders remained confident. On the 4th day, alarms began sounding throughout the fleet. Long-range sensors had detected something approaching through hyperspace. The humans were finally coming. Admiral Vextar studied the sensor readings with growing anticipation. How many ships? His sensor officer worked frantically at his controls, trying to get clear readings through the hyperspace distortions. I'm reading, Sir, this doesn't make sense. What doesn't make sense? I'm only detecting 1 ship, Admiral, but that can't be right. Vextar's eyes narrowed. Run the scan again. Check for stealth technology or sensor jamming. Already did. Sir, all systems are functioning normally. I'm definitely reading only 1 vessel. Similar reports were coming in from ships throughout the Coalition fleet. Every sensor array, every detection system, every scanning device was giving the same impossible reading. 1 ship. High Counselor Theiss reviewed her own sensor data with disbelief. This must be some kind of mistake. No species sends 1 ship to face 800. General Mordak laughed when he heard the reports. The humans are trying to insult us. They think so little of our mighty fleet that they send only 1 vessel. Ambassador Silthyra was more thoughtful. Perhaps there is something we do not understand. This could be a cultural difference we have not considered. The hyperspace distortion grew stronger, and then suddenly a ship dropped into normal space, at the edge of the system. It was sleek and white, about the size of a Keth-Mori heavy cruiser, with unusual design features that none of the aliens recognized. Admiral Vextar stared at the lone human vessel in amazement. This is impossible. Where is their fleet? Admiral, his communications officer reported, we're receiving a transmission from the human ship. Put it through. The main screen activated, showing the bridge of the human vessel. A man in a dark blue uniform stood calmly in the center, surrounded by other humans at various control stations. He appeared completely relaxed, as if facing a coalition of 800 ships was an everyday occurrence. This is Captain Kim Tae-ho of the United Earth ship Defiance, the human said in clear, measured tones. We received your message and have come to discuss your concerns. Vexatar found his voice. Human Captain, our sensors detect only your vessel. Where is your fleet? Kim looked genuinely puzzled. Our fleet? This is our fleet. A moment of stunned silence filled the command bridges of 800 ships. Then General Mordak's laughter boomed across the communication channels. One ship! The humans mock us with one ship against our entire coalition. Lieutenant Nam Ji-yeon, seated at the tactical station of the Defiance, looked up at her captain. Sir, I'm reading 847 enemy vessels in perfect attack formation. They seem surprised to see us. Dr. Park So-min, monitoring the alien communications, added her analysis. Captain, their emotional responses indicate genuine shock. They expected us to bring hundreds of ships. Commander Yoon Hyun-woo studied the enemy formation on his displays. It's an impressive sight, sir. Very organized, very intimidating. Classic show of force positioning. Engineer Lee Dong-woo ran final checks on all systems. All systems are green, Captain. We're ready for whatever they have planned. Captain Kim addressed the alien fleet again. Admiral Vextar, we understand your concerns about human expansion. We're prepared to discuss this situation in detail. Discuss? Vextar's voice carried disbelief and growing anger. You bring one ship to face our entire coalition and speak of discussion? Yes, Kim replied simply. We believe one ship is sufficient for this meeting. Ambassador Silthyra's voice joined the conversation, her musical tones carrying confusion. Captain Kim, surely you understand that you are vastly outnumbered. This cannot be your entire response to our ultimatum. With respect, Ambassador, this is exactly our response. We prefer efficient solutions to complicated problems. High Counselor Thys transmitted her own bewilderment. Captain, our intelligence reports indicate that humans possess thousands of ships. Why do you bring only one? Dr. Park So-min answered this time. Counselor Thys, bringing thousands of ships would be excessive for this type of meeting. We didn't want to appear threatening. The alien commanders exchanged glances across their communication links. The humans didn't want to appear threatening. They had sent one ship against 800 and were worried about seeming threatening. General Mordak had stopped laughing. Something about the calm confidence of the humans was beginning to disturb him. No species should be this relaxed when facing such overwhelming odds. Human Captain, he growled, do you understand what you face? 847 ships from 12 civilizations stand ready to destroy you. Captain Kim nodded politely. We're aware of your fleet composition, General. We've been monitoring your formation since you arrived. Very impressive organization. Admiral Vextar realized that something was very wrong with this situation. The humans should be terrified. They should be begging for mercy. They should be attempting to negotiate from a position of weakness. Instead, they acted like they held all the advantages. Captain Kim, Vextar said slowly, you will surrender your vessel and submit to coalition authority. This is your only warning. Kim looked around his bridge at his crew, who all appeared completely calm. "I'm afraid we can't do that, Admiral, but we're still willing to discuss a peaceful resolution to this situation." "And if we refuse discussion?" asked Ambassador Silthyra. Captain Kim's expression didn't change. "Then I suppose we'll have to demonstrate why we thought one ship would be enough." Admiral Vextar had made his decision. The humans needed to learn their place in the galactic order, and if they were too proud to surrender, they would have to be taught through force. He would start with a demonstration that would surely convince them to see reason. "All ships, this is Admiral Vextar," he transmitted across the Coalition fleet. "Form attack pattern Delta. I want 50 ships to target the human vessel. Disable their engines and weapons, but leave their life support intact. We want prisoners, not corpses." Across the fleet, ships began moving into position. 50 vessels from different species converged on the lone human ship, their weapons powering up with deadly energy. It was massive overkill for a single target, but Vextar wanted to make sure the lesson was clear. "Human Captain," Vextar transmitted to the Defiance, "you have one final chance to surrender. Stand down your weapons and prepare to be boarded." On the bridge of the Defiance, Captain Kim turned to his tactical officer. "Lieutenant Nam, are you ready?" Nam Ji-yeon checked her displays one final time. "All systems are green, sir. Defensive screens are at full power. Countermeasures are prepared." "Dr. Park, what's your reading on their emotional states?" "Dr. Park?" So-Min monitored the alien communications with interest. "They're confident, Captain. They believe they're about to end this quickly and decisively. Admiral Vextar is particularly eager to demonstrate his superiority." Commander Yoon studied the attacking formation. 50 ships, sir. Mixed composition. They're using energy weapons, kinetic bombardments, and what appears to be some kind of plasma cannon system. Engineer Lee Dong-woo made final adjustments to the ship's systems. "Captain, our defensive systems are designed to handle exactly this type of attack. We should be able to demonstrate our capabilities quite effectively." Kim nodded calmly. "Very well. Open a channel to the Coalition fleet." "Channel open, sir. Admiral Vextar. We understand that you feel the need to make a point. Please proceed with your demonstration." The alien commanders were confused by this response. The human captain sounded like he was giving them permission to attack his own ship. It was either supreme confidence or complete insanity. "Admiral," General Mordak transmitted privately to Vextar, "something feels wrong about this. No species behaves this way when facing certain destruction." "Perhaps humans are simply more foolish than we thought," Vextar replied. "All ships, you may fire when ready." The attack began with a brilliant display of destructive power. 50 alien ships opened fire simultaneously, sending streams of energy, clouds of kinetic projectiles, and waves of plasma toward the Defiance. The combined firepower was enough to destroy a small moon. The space around the human ship lit up like a star-going nova. Energy beams converged from multiple directions. Missile trails drew bright lines across the darkness. Plasma clouds expanded outward in brilliant spheres of superheated gas. When the light faded, every alien commander expected to see debris floating where the human ship had been. What they saw instead defied everything they thought they knew about space combat. The Defiance sat exactly where it had been before the attack, completely undamaged. Around it, a shimmering barrier of some kind flickered with absorbed energy. The ship looked like it was surrounded by a soap bubble made of light. "Impossible," whispered High Counselor Thias. "No shield technology can absorb that much firepower." "What kind of defensive system is that?" demanded General Mordak. On the bridge of the Defiance, Engineer Lee Dong-woo reported calmly, "Shield efficiency at 97%, Captain. Enemy weapons have been fully analyzed and cataloged. All systems are functioning within normal parameters." Lieutenant Nam studied her tactical displays. "Sir, their weapons technology appears to be approximately 4 centuries behind our current defensive capabilities. The energy patterns are quite primitive." Dr. Park So-min looked up from her sensors. "Fascinating. Their weapons are designed around brute force rather than efficiency. They compensate for technological limitations with overwhelming numbers." Captain Kim opened communications with the alien fleet again. "Admiral Vextar, thank you for the demonstration. Your weapons are quite impressive, though I notice they seem to operate on rather basic principles." Vextar stared at his screens in shock. The most powerful concentrated attack in galactic history had failed to even scratch the human ship's hull. How is this possible? "Oh, standard defensive protocols," Kim replied casually. "We call it an adaptive energy absorption matrix. It reads incoming weapon signatures and adjusts the shield frequencies to disperse the energy harmlessly." "That's impossible," transmitted Counselor Zethkar of the Vortani. "Such technology would require computing power beyond anything we've ever seen." Engineer Lee Dong-woo answered this time. "Actually, it's fairly elementary engineering. We're surprised your civilizations haven't developed similar systems. The basic principles have been known to us for over 2 centuries. The alien fleet fell into stunned silence. They had just witnessed their most powerful weapons rendered completely useless by technology the humans considered basic. Ambassador Silthyra was the first to find her voice. "Captain Kim, if your defensive capabilities are so advanced, why did you only bring 1 ship? Surely you could have brought more to ensure your safety," Commander Yoon answered with genuine puzzlement. "More ships? Ambassador, why would we need more ships? This one seems perfectly adequate for the situation." "Adequate?" General Mordak's voice carried a mixture of rage and fear. "You just withstood an attack from 50 warships and call it adequate?" "Well, yes," Dr. Park So-min replied matter-of-factly. "Our defensive systems were designed to handle much larger attacks than this. 50 ships is well within our safety margins." Admiral Vextar tried to process what he was hearing. "Larger attacks? How much larger?" Lieutenant Nam checked her calculations. "Our current shields can handle simultaneous attacks from approximately 2,000 ships of your technology level, sir. Though obviously we hope such a demonstration won't be necessary." The number hit the alien commanders like a physical blow. 2,000 ships. The humans could withstand attacks from fleets larger than any that had ever existed in galactic history. "This is a trick," Vextar said desperately. "Some kind of illusion or deception." "Admiral," Captain Kim replied patiently, "we understand your skepticism. Would you like us to provide a more detailed demonstration of our capabilities?" "What kind of demonstration?" asked Ambassador Silthyra nervously. "Well, we could show you how our offensive systems work, or perhaps demonstrate our mobility advantages. We have several options available." Engineer Lee Dong-woo added helpfully, "We could also explain the technical principles behind our systems if you're interested in the science. Always happy to share knowledge with fellow spacefaring species." High Counselor Thys was beginning to realize the scope of their miscalculation. "Captain, exactly how advanced is human technology compared to ours?" Dr. Park So-min consulted. Her analysis. "Based on what we've observed so far, your civilizations appear to be operating at roughly the same technological level we achieved about 400 years ago. You focused on numerical superiority rather than innovation. 400 years, repeated Vextar in a hollow voice. Give or take a few decades, Kim confirmed. But please don't feel bad about it. Technological development follows different paths for different species. You've achieved remarkable things with your current level of advancement. General Mordak found his voice again. If you're so far ahead of us, why haven't you conquered the galaxy already? Captain Kim looked genuinely surprised. Conquered? General, why would we want to conquer anyone? Conquest is terribly inefficient. We prefer cooperation and mutual benefit. But you could destroy us all easily, this stammered. Theoretically, yes, Commander Yoon agreed. But that would be wasteful and pointless. We're explorers and builders, not conquerors. Ambassador Silthyra pulsed with confused light. Then why are you expanding so rapidly? Why do you ignore our laws and treaties? Because your laws and treaties were made without consulting us, Kim explained reasonably. We're not bound by agreements we never signed or rules we had no part in creating. The alien commanders were beginning to understand that they had made a fundamental error. They had assumed the humans were just another aggressive species that needed to be controlled. Instead, they were facing a civilization so advanced that their entire fleet was barely an inconvenience. "What do you want from us?" Vextar asked. Finally, Captain Kim smiled. "That's an excellent question, Admiral. And fortunately, we're prepared to discuss exactly that. Shall we proceed with negotiations?" The alien fleet hung in space, their commanders still trying to understand what they had just witnessed. Admiral Vextar stared at the human ship, which continued to float calmly in the center of their formation, as if nothing had happened. "Captain Kim," Vextar transmitted, his voice strained. "You say you wish to negotiate. What exactly are you proposing?" "Before we discuss proposals," Kim replied, "we think it would be helpful to demonstrate the full scope of what human technology can accomplish. Commander Yoon, would you mind showing our guests how the Defiance actually works?" Commander Yoon Hyun-woo nodded and moved to the ship's control console. "Beginning transformation sequence now, Captain." On every alien ship, sensors began registering. Impossible readings. The human vessel was changing. Sections of the hull were separating, but instead of the ship falling apart, the pieces remained connected by streams of energy. "What's happening to their ship?" demanded General Mordak. The answer became clear as the Defiance spread out into dozens of smaller vessels, each one maintaining perfect coordination with the others. What had been a single ship was now a swarm of interconnected fighters, all moving with the precision of a single organism. High Counselor Thias watched in horror as the human vessels wove through her fleet formation. Impossible. Ships cannot separate and remain functional. The power systems alone would make it impossible. Dr. Park So-min's voice came across the communication channels, sounding like she was giving a lecture to students. "Actually, Counselor, it's quite straightforward engineering. Modular construction with quantum-linked control systems. Each component maintains full battlefield awareness through shared consciousness networks." "Shared consciousness?" Ambassador Silthyra transmitted, with growing alarm. "Oh, yes," Dr. Park continued cheerfully. "Each module has its own artificial intelligence, but they're all networked together. Think of it as one mind controlling dozens of bodies simultaneously." Engineer Lee Dong-woo added technical details. "The quantum links allow instantaneous communication, regardless of distance or interference. Each module knows exactly what every other module is doing at all times." The alien commanders watched in stunned silence as the human vessels performed impossible maneuvers. They passed through energy shields as if they weren't there, navigated between ships with centimeter precision, and demonstrated flight patterns that violated several known laws of physics. How are they moving through our defensive barriers? Counselor Zethkar asked in a trembling voice. Lieutenant Nam Ji-yon answered matter-of-factly. Phase-shifted molecular displacement. Your shields operate on fixed frequencies. We simply adjust our dimensional resonance to match the gaps in your defensive matrices. Dimensional resonance? Repeated Vextar. Basic physics, Nam replied. Matter can exist in multiple dimensional states simultaneously. By shifting between states, we can pass through barriers that exist in only one-dimensional layer. General Mordak was beginning to panic. These aren't ships. They're something else entirely. Oh, they're definitely ships, Captain Kim assured him. Just built according to different principles than yours. We don't believe in single-purpose designs when multi-purpose solutions are available. The human vessels continued their demonstration, reforming into new configurations and showing off capabilities that defied every principle of space combat the aliens understood. They moved in perfect synchronization, as if they were parts of a single vast organism. How many ships do you actually have? Asked Ambassador Silthyra fearfully. Commander Yoon checked his displays. Right now, 47 independent modules, each capable of autonomous operation, but the Defiance can separate into up to 200 individual units if necessary. 200 ships from one ship? Theiss calculated rapidly. But our intelligence said humans had 12,000 vessels. That's correct, Dr. Park Somin confirmed. 12,000 primary vessels, each capable of modular separation. So technically, we have somewhere around 2.5 million individual combat units available. The number struck the alien fleet like a thunderbolt. 2.5 million ships. Even if their entire civilization combined every vessel they had ever built, they wouldn't approach such numbers. But that's not the truly impressive part, Engineer, Li Dongwu added casually. It's not? Vextar asked weakly. Oh no, the really interesting feature is the manufacturing capability. As he spoke, the alien sensors detected new activity around the human vessels. Something was growing from the hull of one of the modules, extending outward and taking shape. What are you doing now? Demanded General Mordak. Demonstrating our construction protocols, Li replied. Self-replicating manufacturing systems. We can build new ships while we're flying around. The aliens watched in disbelief as a new vessel took shape before their eyes. Within minutes, it had grown to full size and separated from its parent ship, becoming an independent unit. Current production rate is 1 destroyer-class vessel every 14 minutes, Li reported. We can maintain this pace for approximately 6 months before requiring resource replenishment. High Counselor Theiss performed rapid calculations. 6 months? 14 minutes? That's over 15,000 new ships. If we needed them, yes, Captain Kim confirmed. But we're hoping this meeting will proceed peacefully so such production won't be necessary. Admiral Vextar, finally, understood the true scope of what they were facing. The humans hadn't brought one ship because they were overconfident or insane. They had brought one ship because one ship was genuinely all they needed. You could have destroyed us all before we even knew you were here, he said quietly. Theoretically, yes, Kim agreed. But as I mentioned, we prefer peaceful solutions. Destroying your fleet would have been wasteful and counterproductive. Ambassador Silthyra pulsed with confused patterns of light. But if you have such overwhelming advantages, why negotiate at all? You could simply ignore us and do whatever you want, Dr. Park So-min answered thoughtfully. Because ignoring you would create long-term problems. You represent 12 different civilizations with rich histories and unique perspectives. That's valuable. Valuable how? Asked Thais. Knowledge, culture, art, science, Commander Yoon explained. Every species develops differently. You've all learned things that we haven't, created things that we haven't, discovered things that we haven't. But our technology is centuries behind yours, protested Vextar. Technology isn't the only form of advancement, Captain Kim replied. The Air Nathi have developed telepathic communication methods we're still trying to understand. The Vortani create art that affects dimensional space. The Keth Mori have preserved historical records spanning hundreds of thousands of years. Engineer Lee was still monitoring the manufacturing demonstration. Plus, having friends is more useful than having subjects. Subjects rebel and require constant management. Friends contribute willingly and help solve problems. You want to be friends with us? General Mordak asked suspiciously. We'd prefer it, yes, Kim replied. But friendship requires mutual respect and voluntary cooperation. It can't be forced. The human vessels began reassembling, the dozens of modules coming together to reform the original ship. The newly constructed vessel maintained its position nearby, a permanent reminder of human manufacturing capabilities. So what are you proposing exactly? Ambassador Silthyra asked. Captain Kim's expression became more serious. We're proposing a new relationship between human space and the galactic community, one based on equality rather than submission. Equality? Vexitar laughed bitterly. After what you've just shown us, how can there be equality? Because power and equality aren't the same thing, Dr. Park Soman explained. We may have technological advantages, but you have other forms of strength, cultural wisdom, historical knowledge, artistic achievement, philosophical insights. We're not interested in conquest or domination, Commander Yoon added. We're interested in exploration, discovery, and growth. Those things are easier to achieve with allies than with subjects. Lieutenant Nam looked up from her tactical displays. Captain, we're receiving multiple private communications from various alien ships. It appears the fleet commanders want to discuss this proposal in more detail. Kim nodded. Patch them through. It's time to talk about the future. Over the next several hours, the character of the meeting changed completely. What had begun as an ultimatum had become something entirely different. The alien commanders found themselves in the strange position of trying to understand a species that could destroy them all but preferred to talk instead. Captain Kim had arranged for private communication channels with each alien leader, allowing them to ask questions without losing face in front of the others. The conversations revealed just how deeply the demonstration had affected them. Admiral Vextar was the first to speak privately. Captain Kim, I must ask directly, could you really have destroyed our entire fleet before we knew you were here? Yes, Kim replied honestly. Our stealth technology would have allowed us to position ships throughout your formation without detection. But, Admiral, that would have been pointless destruction. Dead enemies teach no lessons and offer no future cooperation. Then why reveal your capabilities at all? You could have continued pretending to be less advanced. Dr. Park So-min joined the conversation. Because pretending leads to misunderstandings. You needed to know what you were really dealing with, so you could make informed decisions. Vextar was quiet for a long moment. In all my years of military service, I have never encountered a species that revealed weaknesses to their enemies. We're not revealing weaknesses, Admiral. We're revealing strengths to potential allies. High Counselor Thys asked her own questions through a separate channel. Dr. Park, your technology is so far advanced that you could have simply ignored us completely. Why engage with us at all? Because isolation is counterproductive, Dr. Park explained. Every species develops unique solutions to universal problems. The Velnari hive mind communications, for example, offer insights into collective decision-making that individual-based species like humans struggle with. You would learn from us, but we are so far behind you technologically. Technology is only one measure of advancement, Counselor. Your people have maintained stable social structures for over 50,000 years. That's something humans are still learning how to do. General Mordak's conversation focused on military concerns. Commander Yoon, if humans are so advanced, why do you still maintain military forces at all? Because the galaxy is large and unknown, Yoon replied. We've encountered hostile species before. Some problems can only be solved through superior firepower. Have you had to destroy other species? Twice. Both times we tried negotiation first. Both times the other species refused any solution except our complete destruction. We defended ourselves, but we took no pleasure in it. Mordak respected this answer. You fight when necessary, but prefer peace when possible. This is the way of true warriors. Ambassador Silthyra's questions were more philosophical. Captain Kim, what do humans ultimately want from the galaxy? Understanding, Kim replied. Every new world we explore teaches us something. Every species we meet shows us different ways of thinking and living. Every challenge we face helps us grow. And if a species cannot offer you anything useful, every species offers something useful, Ambassador, even if it's just the knowledge that their particular approach doesn't work. Failure is often more educational than success. The most detailed discussion was with Counselor Zethkar of the Vortani. His people were artists and philosophers, and he was fascinated by human creativity. Engineer Lee, your ship designs are unlike anything we have seen. They seem to blend art with function. Lee was pleased by the observation. Form and function should support each other. A beautiful ship that doesn't work is useless, but a functional ship that isn't beautiful is a missed opportunity. Could you teach us these design principles? Of course. In exchange, perhaps your people could teach us about dimensional art. We've seen Vortani sculptures that seem to exist in multiple spatial layers simultaneously. You would trade advanced technology for art lessons? Knowledge is knowledge, Counselor. Beauty and efficiency are both valuable. As these private conversations continued, Captain Kim prepared for the larger discussion that would determine the future relationship between humans and the galactic community. All fleet commanders, he transmitted on the main channel, thank you for your questions and patience. I believe we're ready to discuss specific proposals. The alien leaders had spent hours talking with the humans, and their perspectives had changed dramatically. They were no longer facing conquerors or threats. They were talking with teachers who happened to have very advanced weapons. What exactly are you offering? Admiral Vextar asked. Technology sharing, Dr. Park So-min replied. We'll provide selected advances to help upgrade your defensive capabilities. Medical knowledge to extend lifespans and improve quality of life. Manufacturing. Techniques to increase efficiency and reduce resource waste. In exchange for what? Demanded General Mordak. Commander Yoon answered. Unrestricted exploration rights throughout the galaxy, equal representation in whatever government structure we create together, and most importantly, cooperation instead of competition. Government structure? High Counselor Theus asked. The current Galactic Council system isn't working, Lieutenant Nam observed. It's based on controlling expansion rather than encouraging it. It punishes innovation and rewards stagnation, Captain Kim elaborated. We propose a new system, a true alliance where each species contributes what they do best and benefits from what others do best. And if we refuse? Ambassador Silthyra asked. Then you refuse, Kim said simply. We won't force anyone to join us, but we also won't be bound by laws we had no part in making. Engineer Lee added practical details. We'll continue exploring and colonizing just as we have been. The difference is whether you participate in the benefits or just watch from the sidelines. The alien commanders exchanged glances across their communication links. The humans were offering them a choice, but it wasn't really much of a choice. Join the new alliance and benefit from advanced technology, or remain bound by obsolete systems while watching humanity advance far beyond their reach. What guarantees do we have? Vextar asked. How do we know you won't simply conquer us once we become dependent on your technology? Dr. Park So-min smiled. Admiral, if we wanted to conquer you, would we be having this conversation? We've already demonstrated that we could destroy your entire fleet without significant effort. But we're not interested in conquest, Captain, Kim emphasized. Conquered territories require constant management and produce constant rebellion. Allied territories contribute willingly and solve their own problems. Commander Yoon pulled up tactical displays showing human exploration patterns. Look at our expansion routes. We're not conquering existing civilizations. We're exploring empty systems and uninhabited worlds. There's plenty of space for everyone. How much space? Asked this. Lieutenant Nam consulted her star charts. Current estimates suggest there are over 400 billion star systems in this galaxy alone. We've explored less than 1% of them. There's enough room for thousands of species to expand without ever conflicting with each other. The scope of these numbers was staggering. The aliens had been fighting over territory in a tiny section of the galaxy, while vast unexplored regions stretched in every direction. You're saying there's enough space for all of us? General Mordak asked. More than enough, Kim confirmed. The problem isn't space. The problem is thinking small. Ambassador Silthyra pulsed with thoughtful patterns. And you would help us explore these new regions? We'd prefer to explore them together, Dr. Park replied. Joint expeditions, shared discoveries, combined resources. We all benefit more from cooperation than from competition. The alien leaders were beginning to understand that the humans weren't just offering a new political arrangement. They were offering a fundamental change in how galactic civilization could work. How long do we have to decide? Asked Counselor Zethkar. As long as you need, Captain Kim replied. This isn't an ultimatum. It's an invitation. 3 weeks later, the response came not as a single decision, but as a series of careful negotiations. Each alien species had taken time to consult with their home governments, analyze what they had witnessed, and consider their options. Thus, first to respond was Ambassador Silthyra of the Nathi. Her people had always valued wisdom over warfare, and they saw the potential benefits of alliance with the humans. Captain Kim, she transmitted from her ship. The Nathi Council has voted to accept your proposal. We offer our knowledge of telepathic communications and dimensional physics in exchange for your medical and defensive technologies. We're honored by your trust, Ambassador, Kim replied. Dr. Park will coordinate with your scientists to begin the exchange. Over the following days, other species began to agree. The Vortani were fascinated by human manufacturing techniques and eager to share their artistic knowledge. The smaller civilizations saw alliance as their best chance to survive in a galaxy where technological advancement was accelerating rapidly. But not everyone was convinced. Admiral Vextar and the Keth Mori remained skeptical. They had ruled space for thousands of years and found it difficult to accept that their time of dominance was ending. "Captain," Vextar transmitted during a private communication, "my government questions whether humans can be trusted with such power. History shows that advanced species inevitably dominate less advanced ones. History also shows that cooperation produces better results than domination," Kim replied. "Admiral, we're not asking you to trust us blindly. We're asking you to trust the evidence of your own observations." Dr. Park So-min joined the conversation. "Admiral, in the 3 weeks since our meeting, we've already begun sharing technology with the Aernathi and Vortani. Have we demanded political control in exchange?" "No," Vextar admitted. "But perhaps you are planning for longer-term dominance. If we wanted to dominate the galaxy, would we need to plan for it?" Lieutenant Nam asked reasonably. "We've already demonstrated that we could control any situation through superior force if we chose to." The truth of this statement was undeniable. The humans had shown they could destroy the entire coalition fleet without significant effort. If conquest was their goal, they could achieve it immediately. General Mordak of the Bruthen was also reluctant to agree. His people respected strength, but they also valued independence. "Commander Yoon," he transmitted, "the Bruthen have been warriors for 10,000 years. We do not easily accept others as equals." "We're not asking you to accept us as equals, General," Yoon replied. "We're asking you to work with us as equals. There's a difference." "Explain this difference. Accepting implies that you believe we're superior and you're acknowledging that fact. Working together assumes that we each have different strengths that complement each other." Engineer Lee added his perspective. "General, your people's warrior traditions have kept peace in several sectors for centuries. That's a valuable skill that we lack. We're builders and explorers, not peacekeepers." "You would want Bruthen warriors to help maintain order?" "We would want Bruthen wisdom about conflict resolution," Lee clarified. "Your people understand how to end fights without destroying everything around them. That's something we're still learning." This appealed to Mordak's sense of pride. The humans weren't asking the Bruthen to become junior partners. They were asking them to be the experts in something important. High Counselor Thys of the Velnari had different concerns. Her people made decisions collectively, and the process of reaching consensus took time. "Dr. Park," she transmitted, "the Velnari are concerned about maintaining our decision-making processes under this new alliance. We cannot act as quickly as individual-based species." "Speed isn't always an advantage, Counselor," Dr. Park replied. "Quick decisions are often wrong decisions. Your people's ability to consider multiple perspectives before acting is valuable. But what if emergency situations require immediate responses? Then individual species handle emergencies in their own territories while the Alliance provides support. We're not proposing a single government that controls everything. We're proposing a cooperation network that helps everyone," Commander Yoon elaborated. "Think of it as a mutual assistance agreement rather than a merger. Each species maintains independence while sharing resources and knowledge." This distinction was important to many of the alien leaders. They had been thinking in terms of conquest and submission because that was how galactic politics had always worked. The humans were, proposing something entirely different. Captain Kim decided it was time to make the choice concrete. Fleet commanders, we understand that this decision is difficult. To help you evaluate our intentions, we're prepared to make an immediate demonstration of good faith. What kind of demonstration? Asked Vextar suspiciously. Engineer Lee answered, We're going to upgrade the defensive systems of every ship in your fleet, regardless of whether your species joins the Alliance or not. Without any conditions? Thais asked in amazement. Without any conditions, Kim confirmed. You came here to protect galactic civilization from what you saw as a threat. The least we can do is make sure you can return home safely. Over the next few days, human technical teams worked alongside alien engineers to install new defensive systems on 847 ships. The process itself was educational for both sides. The aliens learned about human manufacturing techniques, while the humans studied alien design philosophies. The results were impressive. Ships that had taken decades to build were upgraded in hours. Defensive capabilities that had been theoretical became practical realities. Weapon systems that had seemed advanced were revealed to be primitive compared to what was possible. These improvements are remarkable, admitted Counselor Zethkar. Our ships are now more capable than they have ever been. And this is just basic defensive technology, Dr. Park noted. We have much more advanced systems available for full Alliance members. The demonstration had its intended effect. Even the most skeptical alien leaders could see the benefits of cooperation with humans. More importantly, they could see that humans were willing to share advanced technology without demanding immediate political control. Admiral Vexitar was among the last to make his decision. Captain Kim, the Kethmori Council has debated your proposal extensively. We have decided to accept Alliance membership, but with conditions. What conditions? Kim asked. We want to maintain our current government structure. We want guarantees that our territory will remain under Kethmori control, and we want assurance that human expansion will not threaten our existing colonies. All reasonable conditions, Kim agreed. We have no interest in changing your government or controlling your territory. As for expansion, there are millions of uninhabited systems available. We see no reason to conflict with existing colonies. General Mordak announced the Bruthan decision shortly afterward. The Bruthan Council has voted to join this alliance. We offer our services as peacekeepers and our knowledge of conflict resolution. We're honored to have you, General. High Counselor Thys took longer to respond, but when she did, her announcement was comprehensive. The Velnari Collective has reached consensus. We will join the Alliance and contribute our expertise in collective decision-making and drone coordination. Within a month, all 12 species had agreed to the new Alliance structure. The Galactic Council was dissolved, replaced by the Galactic Exploration Alliance. Instead of controlling expansion, the new organization promoted it. Instead of punishing innovation, it rewarded it. Captain Kim stood on the bridge of the Defiance, watching as the former coalition fleet dispersed to return to their home systems. Each ship now carried advanced human technology and detailed plans for further upgrades. Mission accomplished? Asked Commander Yoon. Mission begun, Kim corrected. Now the real work starts. Dr. Park So-min was already planning the first joint exploration missions. The Ayarnathi have identified several systems with unusual energy signatures. The Vortani want to study dimensional anomalies in the Outer Rim, and the Bruthan have offered to provide security for expeditions into unknown territories. Lieutenant Nam pulled up star charts showing the vast unexplored regions of the galaxy. With all 12 species contributing ships and expertise, we can explore more in the next decade than any single species could manage in a century. Engineer Lee was examining upgrade requests from various alien species. The Keth Mori want to improve their manufacturing capabilities. The Velnari are interested in individual AI development. The Bruthen want better non-lethal weapons for peacekeeping. And we learn from all of them, Kim observed. The Aernathi telepathic networks could revolutionize our communication systems. Vortani dimensional art might lead to new physics discoveries. Bruthen conflict resolution methods could help us handle future first contact situations. As the Defiance prepared to return to Earth, Captain Kim reflected on what they had accomplished. They had come to face an ultimatum, and instead had created a new form of galactic civilization. They had turned enemies into allies, and competition into cooperation. "Sir," Lieutenant Nam reported, "we're receiving a transmission from Earth Command. They want a full report on our mission status." 6 months had passed since the formation of the Galactic Exploration Alliance, and the changes were visible everywhere. The Great Council chambers had been redesigned to accommodate 13 different species, with humans taking their place, as equals among civilizations that had once sought to control them. Captain Kim Tae-ho, now serving as human ambassador to the Alliance, reviewed the progress reports with satisfaction. What they had accomplished in half a year exceeded the most optimistic projections. Admiral Vextar approached Kim's station, his green scales now bearing the insignia of the Alliance Fleet Command. The Keth Mori had adapted to their new role, with surprising enthusiasm, using human-enhanced ships to explore regions they had never dared to visit before. "Ambassador Kim," Vextar said formally, then smiled in the way humans had taught him. "The joint expedition to the Sigma Draconis cluster has discovered 17 new worlds suitable for colonization. 3 show signs of primitive life." "Excellent news, Admiral. Who gets first colonization rights?" "That's what I wanted to discuss. The Aernathi found the worlds, the Vortani provided the survey technology, and the Bruthen ensured the expedition's safety. How do we decide?" Kim pulled up the Alliance Charter on his display. "According to our agreements, all 3 species share colonization rights. They can establish joint colonies or divide the worlds among themselves by mutual agreement." "Joint colonies?" Vextar looked puzzled. "How do different species live together on the same world?" "Ask the Centauri Prime Colony," Kim suggested. "They have Aernathi, humans, and Vortani living in the same cities. Apparently, the different perspectives make for very interesting architecture." Dr. Park So-min joined the conversation, carrying data tablets filled with research updates. "Ambassador, the medical exchange program has exceeded all expectations. Aernathi telepathic healing combined with human regenerative medicine has virtually eliminated several diseases that have plagued the galaxy for millennia. Any problems with the technology transfers?" "Only good ones. The Velnari have improved our drone coordination systems by 40%. The Bruthen have developed non-lethal weapons that are actually more effective than lethal ones. And the Vortani, well, their dimensional art has opened up entirely new fields of physics." Engineer Lee Dong-woo approached with his own reports. "Ambassador, the shipyard construction is ahead of schedule. We now have joint manufacturing facilities in 8 systems, each one producing vessels that combine the best technologies from all Alliance species." "How many ships are we producing?" "Currently about 200 new vessels per month, with capacity increasing as more facilities come online. The designs are remarkable. Keth Mori durability, human modularity, Velnari automation, Bruthen defensive systems, all integrated into ships that are better than anything any single species could build alone. Commander Yun Wu was coordinating with Alliance tactical officers at a nearby station. Ambassador, we've received approval from all member species for the Deep Space Exploration Initiative. 50,000 ships are being organized into mixed-species crews for missions beyond the galactic rim. 50,000? Vextar looked impressed, despite himself. 6 months ago, I thought 800 ships was an unstoppable force. It was unstoppable, Kim agreed, against the old way of thinking. But the new way of thinking makes 800 ships look like a small patrol group. Lieutenant Nam Ji-yeon looked up from her communication station. Sir, we're receiving priority transmissions from the Outer Rim monitoring stations. Long-range sensors have detected something significant. What kind of something? Kim asked. A massive fleet approaching from outside the galaxy. Configuration unknown, but preliminary estimates suggest over 10,000 ships. The bridge fell silent. An unknown fleet of that size represented a potential threat unlike anything the galaxy had faced before. How long until they arrive? Asked Admiral Vextar. At their current speed, approximately 6 weeks, Nam replied. Dr. Park studied the sensor data. The ship designs don't match any known species. This appears to be our first contact with an extragalactic civilization. Commander Yoon was already pulling up tactical assessments. 10,000 ships is a significant force, but not insurmountable. However, we don't know their technological capabilities. Recommendations? Kim asked the group. Engineer Lee spoke first. We should assume they're at least as advanced as we are. Any species capable of traveling between galaxies has sophisticated technology. Agreed, said Dr. Park. We should also assume they view our expanding civilization as a potential threat. From their perspective, we've suddenly become very active and powerful. Admiral Vextar added his military perspective. If they're coming here with 10,000 ships, they're either seeking alliance or preparing for conquest. We should be ready for either possibility. Kim nodded. Nam, send a message to all Alliance worlds. We need to convene an emergency council session within 48 hours. Already on it, sir. 2 days later, representatives from all 13 Alliance species gathered in the Great Council chambers. The mood was serious, but not panicked. 6 months of successful cooperation had built confidence in their ability to handle challenges together. High Counselor Thies of the Velnari spoke first. The collective has analyzed all available data. This unknown fleet represents either a magnificent opportunity or a serious threat. General Mordak of the Bruthen was more direct. 10,000 ships means they respect our strength enough to bring overwhelming force. That's actually encouraging. How is that encouraging? Asked Counselor Zethkar. Because it means they think we're worth taking seriously, Mordak explained. Weak enemies don't get 10,000 ships sent against them. Ambassador Silthyra pulsed with thoughtful light patterns. Perhaps they're not coming to conquer. Perhaps they're coming to investigate. From outside the galaxy, our rapid expansion and technological advancement would appear quite remarkable. Dr. Park pulled up comparative analyses. The energy signatures are definitely artificial. These are constructed vessels, not natural phenomena. But the power readings are interesting. Interesting how? Kim asked. Their ships appear to be more powerful individually than ours, but not dramatically so. Maybe 50 to 70% more advanced than current Alliance technology. Engineer Lee was studying the fleet composition data. That's significant, but not overwhelming. Our advantages in manufacturing and numbers would balance their technological edge. Commander Yoon had been running tactical simulations. If it comes to conflict, we could field approximately 80,000 ships within a month. That's an 8-to-1 numerical advantage. But we don't want conflict, Kim emphasized. We want to understand who they are and what they want. Admiral Vextar stood to address the council. I propose we respond as the Alliance has always responded, with strength, but also with openness to dialogue. What exactly are you suggesting? Asked Theiss. We meet them with a significant fleet to demonstrate that we're not helpless. But we also make it clear that we're interested in peaceful contact. General Mordak agreed. Show strength, offer friendship. It's the best way to deal with unknowns. Ambassador Silthyra added her support. And if they prove hostile, we're prepared to defend ourselves. If they prove friendly, we're prepared to welcome them. Kim looked around the council chambers at representatives of 13 different species, all united in purpose despite their vast differences. 6 months ago, they had been preparing for war with each other. Now they were preparing to face the unknown together. How many ships should we send to meet them? Asked Counselor Zethkar. The question that had started this entire adventure was being asked again, but in a completely different context. Kim smiled. How many do you think we need? Dr. Park consulted her calculations. Based on their fleet size and apparent technology level, I'd recommend about 15,000 Alliance vessels, enough to demonstrate our capabilities without appearing aggressive. 15,000 ships, Admiral Vextar repeated with satisfaction. 6 months ago, I thought my 800 ships represented unstoppable power. And now 15,000 is just a reasonable diplomatic gesture, added General Mordak. Engineer Lee was already making lists. We can have that many ships assembled and deployed within 2 weeks. Mixed crews, advanced technology, unified command structure. Who commands the fleet? Asked High Counselor Theiss. We all do, Kim replied. Each species contributes ships and expertise. Decisions are made collectively, just like in the Alliance. Commander Yoon pulled up deployment charts. The beauty of our system is that we don't need a single supreme commander. We have 15,000 ship captains who can all think independently while working toward common goals. Lieutenant Nam looked up from her communications station. Ambassador, I'm receiving confirmation from all Alliance worlds. 15,000. Ships can be ready for deployment in 12 days. Kim nodded. Excellent. Send a message to the approaching fleet. Tell them we're the Galactic Exploration Alliance. We represent 13 species working together in peace, and we'd like to discuss whatever brought them to our galaxy. And if they don't want to talk, asked Admiral Vextar,